these moments I don't ever take for granted, and I just want to be, super appreciative and thankful for the time I had here, and even like around the world. Like, I'm known for sure in my career as a Boston Celtic, and that's legendary stuff, and I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah, how about them Celtics winning on the court and off the court? Celtic great Isaiah Thomas at the tradition. We'll get into all of it next.
For me, as a new coach, I give him a new opportunity. And quite frankly, I thought he would be a little bit better, more effective. And I thought he wasn't. And at some point, we have to make a decision how to move forward. And I think that's where we're at.
New opportunities will continue to arise as the Bruins hit the West Coast trip, and a revenge possibly to kick things off versus Anaheim.
And it's the hot stove season. Lou Merloni will join us, and the Patriots have 9 wins. Is it fool's gold? Of all that and more, this is Boston has entered the chat.
NESN Nation! Let's ride! Welcome into Boston has entered the chat here inside our Salem 5 studios. We're calling this a Victory Wednesday as we get you over the hump day. Travis Thomas here, Big Dog, Joe Murray in the house, the Lone Wolf, the Kasey Hudson in the house as well.
Lone Wolf is fitting.
Victory Wednesday because the Celtics did win last night, and we'll see what the Bees do tonight, and that's where we start. Of course, plenty coming up in the program, as you saw there in the open. But we're going to start with you, 617-790-0928. There's no us without you, so get in here and call 617-790-0928. Okay, let's get into this, because before we get into tonight's game against the Ducks, Johnny Beecher? Question mark? No longer? I want initial reactions when we saw this news that Beecher, a first-round pick, has been let go by this team. Case.
Yeah, as soon as the announcement of waivers took place, let's just say everybody that I know in chat with was like, there he goes, say your goodbyes. And I was just like, oh, it's like that. And they called it from the jump. I will say, you do have to have a level of respect for the fact that everything fits the bill for Marco Sturm. Since the first time he graced the podium to let Boston know who he was going to be upon his return, you heard 2 E words in the mix of communication, and one of them being effort, the other one being effectiveness. And that's something that he's trying to not only establish, but stand by. So you can understand why he had to make that decision or be a part of that decision as a head coach. And as they continue to solidify who this team is, we might see a few other tough departures, a few other goodbyes, because I've made the case to say there might be some saturation when we're not looking. Like, this team is riddled with injuries at the moment, but we have some tough decisions down the stretch to make room for, top 6 players. What happens when Elias Lindholm gets back into the mix? Husnudinov has made a strong case to remain in a top 6 role. Then you enter Middlestat and Arvidsson. Well, you're talking about a second line that has very much found their identity in this system and has been very helpful in a lot of key games as well. So the moving pieces that have to take place, you have respect for a coach that can make decisions that are in the better interest of the team moving forward.
Joe, I listen to Kasey there, and she makes great points of when players come back. You got to have the room here. But right now, this is a walking mash unit. So is it casual fan of me to say, you don't have the luxury of letting anybody go right now?
They don't, and he's a former first-round pick. So this seems to me like it's a Sturm move, but management at least is behind it, right? This is asset management, and I think they kind of they could have found a trade for him. There's other guys they could have put on waivers. There's other things they could have done. They chose Beecher. Maybe he wasn't fitting into the system, as you said, or giving the effort or the buy-in that Sturm has been asking for. But overall, they just gave up on another first-round pick. They have a history of not making, or these guys actually making an impact, right? So there's a laundry list, dude.
Yeah.
So to your point, they probably don't have the luxury to do this, but it's a numbers game. And right now, Sturm's got to get these guys bought in. They're going on a long road trip. They made him the example.
Okay, Coach Marco, can you provide some clarity for us, please, sir?
What went into the decision to waive Beecher?
Well, I think that's something I can only tell my side. That's something I think Don can answer better than I do. But I think, personally, this is It's not an issue. This is something I think we touched on for a while, right? I think past my time, that's for sure. And for me as a new coach, I give him a new opportunity. And quite frankly, I thought he would be a little bit better, more effective. And I thought he wasn't. And at some point, we have to make a decision how to move forward. And I think that's where we're at.
Consistency mainly the issue, or?
Yeah, consistency, effort. I know it's not easy being out of lineup, in and out of lineup, but I have guys just waiting for this moment, and so it's end of the day, it's always up to the player, right? I wanted to have him. He had a new voice, he had new fresh of eyes. I didn't care about his past, but it was up to him. So that's how I see it.
I mean, listen. I'm not a body language or tone expert, but we run so many sound bites of this guy where he's up. He's always honest and transparent, but he's upbeat. He's a little more. This sounded like a disappointed dad. Like, I mean, I did everything I could for the kid. We put him in position. We gave him a new voice. We gave him a new this. It just didn't work. It just seems like I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is kind of lose-lose for all parties. Here's why I say this, because I don't know if you guys agree. But this is a former first-round pick, so automatically just letting him go tells me that's a loss, okay? Now, if he goes somewhere else and has success, then we're all looking at you like, well, why didn't it work here? It feels lose-lose to me. And then obviously the player is dealing with this. I think everyone loses across the board here.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't, because I feel like in order to feel like, oh, he went somewhere and made a difference, the first thing that you have to take in consideration is he playing in a system that benefits his style of play, his capability, his skill set. So we already knew that there was going to be some difficulty as players got situated in this system that Marco is implementing. Now, Beecher was already basically on the bubble during training camp.
Right.
The writing was kind of on the wall, and the opportunities were given, as Marco Sturm mentioned there. And then you come into the season, and he's technically an extra. Yeah. So you talk first-round pick, but I think from the beginning it was very well noted that he might not fit into this system. And that's the next thing that I feel like a couple of us are going to have to be on the edge of our seats about in terms of what other potential departures can take place if they don't fit in this system. The opportunity is there,
right.
But if the effort and the consistency we saw when he sat Casey Middlestat.
Yeah.
The buy-in came back harder than ever. Mason Lohrei, a bit of a point streak right now. So the buy-in is the most important part of all of this. But regardless, you have to fit into this system. A big part of this system of having a two-way identity. And if you're not going to have defensive responsibility as a part of your game, you better be scoring.
So maybe a better system could benefit him more down the line. I see what you're saying.
You don't get a wistful look upon him, and I don't mean to make that sound insensitive. If anything, you want him to be able to find something that better suits him because he might not be able to have that potential here. So it would have been a waste of time.
Yeah, he's also still young enough for that to work, to your point. I just look at this, and Joe, I want to get your thoughts because the fans weighed in too on Twitter. This just feels like a first-round bust. It is what it is, and we'll see what he does with his career. But here's Night Stalker Stable, who tweets, elite skater, offensively challenged as an NHL player, big body, not physical at all, had every opportunity under Sacco and Montgomery to take the next step, but failed to do so. Sturm demands, this is Casey's point, the system, Sturm demands a lot more from a role player, and that's why he's now in Calgary. More coming in. Jimmy tweets, I appreciate how brutally honest Sturm is and how he values consistency and effort. As a young player in Providence, it's reassuring if you put in the work, you'll be given an opportunity when there are injuries and otherwise. Joe, your thoughts?
I don't know about all that with the young players. Not a lot of young players have come up to the Bruins over the years and have made an impact. And right now, how many young players? I know Minton, I guess we can call him young, right?
Hustadinov's 22.
Hustadinov's another one. And listen, when they put him in, where do they put him? The top of the lines, and they play, and they've been producing, right?
Yeah.
Beecher probably couldn't have done that here.
Yeah.
It's just, that's probably the role of why he's gone. My only thing is this. You mean to tell me you couldn't get a bag of pucks?
Right.
You couldn't get an old-time forward, just a body.
A body.
And they thought that he could sneak through waivers Calgary's going to pick him up. They get a 24-year-old. Maybe they can develop into their system. But this is a tough one only because I think people, when you look at these picks, you think that they're going to make it at some point. But the future, going ahead here, like, Sturm's got to get these young guys to buy in because there's a lot on the line. There's a lot on the line for Don Sweeney when it comes to drafting these guys and developing them. And, you know, Matt Poitras had a run here last year. What's going to happen with him? So, really, the guys on the team, they're not young, but when they do come up, they contribute. But you got to put them with good players in order to produce.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, how about this? Every team is going to have to go through a growing pain of making sure that there is a runway for a young player, and every NHL team right now is going to be challenged with the fact of cutting down their development time, making sure these guys are ready sooner than later, because that whole put them in your farm team for 5, 6, 7 years, that's not where the NHL is going, especially when you have a Connor Bedard, a Macklin Celebrini, a Matthew Schaefer, these teenagers. I mean, Beckett, Seneca. You've got young guys who are actually making careers for themselves. Coda Gauthier is one of the top shooters out there. So you can't be one of those teams that remains in an old identity of like, we're going to rely on our vets, we're going to give opportunity to our guys who have been grinding it out in the league. No, young guys are making a case to be a part of something right now and to make a difference right away. So I think that also speaks to it, but that's what makes Marco the best guy, because he speaks to the fact of being able to develop the youth, give them opportunity, and we are seeing that.
I'm so ready for the Hagens era to begin here with the Bruins. I really am. All right, let's talk Ducks tonight, and then we'll get into the rest of the West Coast swing. Say that 3 times fast.
West Coast swing.
Okay, so it's not even 10 a.m. here. Good job. It's not even 10 a.m. here. However, I'm looking at the lines for tonight's game that I will not be awake to watch.
Is this a breakfast bet? Stay
I
awake.
mean, I'm looking at the Bruins plus 145 on the money line. Against a very even Ducks team, and are we going to sit here and act like the Ducks have some great home ice advantage? I don't hate the Bruins as an underdog tonight. What say you two?
Well, I'll say this. Money-wise, love the Bruins to bounce back.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Even Sturm defended them after their loss the other night that they didn't have legs. They were ready to go for that, this long road trip here. I like the Bees tonight, but Kasey, you brought up something that I really thought was a difference in the Bruins of late. They're winning face-offs.
Yeah.
Could Beecher be a part? Is that maybe another reason why? Because he a guy. But look at that. You see some of these numbers.
You had guys who had to
almost
step
60%.
up. Yeah, one of the top teams in the league when it comes to the face-off circle. And some guys that helped with that, honestly, is Mark Hastelik has been tremendous in the face-off circle. Fraser Mitten talked about it months ago, wanting to get better, and he's been better. I mean, he's sitting close to almost 52% success rate on it. And then Pavel Zacha. And to see these guys step up when an Elias Lindholm, who is a complete killer in the circle, is out of the lineup, it's very promising. Something they can use to their advantage tonight, though, because the Ducks are awful in the face-off circle. Yeah, and it's a game of possession. So this is something that we've seen this team be able to do, and the Ducks do rely on having a really solid pace, tone-setting first period. That's where they get off the majority of their shots. So I like this as a bounce-back spot, considering what their weak points were versus Carolina. There was a lot of passes that just kind of made your heart stop versus Carolina, so they can't have these messy sequences because you do have some guys that can take away the puck from you on the Ducks side.
So there's a lot of talk about easy schedules in the area here. The Bruins in that Atlantic is easy. Listen, I give them credit. They're in first place. You play the games that are in front of you. Have you seen the Metropolitan? Like, I don't know what the Bruins are right now. Like, they're a well-coached team that's learning a new system that's developing, right?
Yeah.
But is it that they're beating up on their division? Or is it because they're not playing the Metropolitan? Like you saw Carolina, they couldn't even get the puck out of the.
But they beat Carolina the first time.
That's true.
And then they came out much. They came out much stronger in that first matchup. Like you saw that they had no reins.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And they weren't able to put themselves in any scoring positions. And a touch to that. And this is not an excuse. It's just a reality. When you've got new bodies in the lineup, there might be a little bit of a lapse there. So there was just a few factors that played into this rolling out differently. And it's not to take away from Carolina, because Carolina's not even at their best. They've got some injured guys that would be very impactful to this lineup. But seeing what they did in that first matchup, I feel like this is just a team where, like, we're not going to be able to say who they are quite yet, but they've kept it interesting in how they can compete against some of the top teams in the mix.
I mean, listen, to your point, that first win against the Canes, that was part of that win streak too, remember? So that was a huge win. As far as tonight, we all like them against the Ducks, but then you go to the Kings. Then you go to the Sharks. This is a tough West Coast swing overall, is it not?
Yeah, no McAvoy either, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
He didn't make the trip. So, Zadorov has been making more of an example lately. He was trying to fire up the team the other night.
Yeah.
I did like them as a pairing, but they're going to be without McAvoy, and I think he's going to be a loss.
Yeah, but I feel like Zadorov is ready to take on a larger responsibility in the absence, and whatever they pair him with, he's going to do his best. I mean, he's come closer to having a complete game. Whenever things get stalemate for this team, you see Zadorov create a rush chance and opportunity, and you're talking about a big man that doesn't get enough credit for how light he is on his skates sometimes. So him being able to contribute offensively, him being a momentum swing guy, whether it's dropping the gloves or trying to initiate a scoring chance or opportunity, I feel like is a big help for this team. I like the test with the Ducks coming out. You have a Carolina team that got 2 of their 3 goals were off the rebound. Well, this is a heavy rebounding team as well. And then they can be really good at tangling you up on the forecheck, making sure that all your bodies get stuck behind the net, opening up lanes for, I don't know, a Troy Terry. So they've got mistakes that they can correct heading into this to check off some boxes to say we're capable of doing this. The question mark is going to be, can they do it with this lineup?
Right.
The other thing is the Kings are menaces when it comes to forechecking. Their second line is going to be brutal and exhausting. So we're really going to see who the more exhausting team is in that battle, and it's going to be one of those things that should be more of a defensive standoff. And then you got the Sharks where Celebrini, it's second hat trick. I mean, he just picked up his second freaking hat trick of the season.
Well, Case, you always tell me one step at a time. So tonight we'll bet on the Bruins, and then we'll cross those other bridges when they come.
And we'll stay awake.
That's, well,
See,
2 out of 3 ain't
Joe
bad.
and I will stay awake.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Still to come here on Boston has entered the chat. We'll explore what's trending in the world of sports. Spoiler alert, it's the latest on Bill and Jordan's Excellent Adventures. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on NESN, 9 a.m. right here on NESN Nation. Boston has entered the chat. We'll be back. Be with us, won't ya?
Why Excellent Adventures? Why?
Time now for what's trending in the world of sports.
I thought he'd give us one more world in there, honestly. I was just slightly disappointed.
That's one more, hanging on for one more world.
That part of the studio needed a world.
Well, I'm glad to hear from you, the Kasey Hudson, because you were at the Tradition last night, which always honors our great Boston sports athletes of yesterday. And Vince Wilfork and you sat down, talked. Here it is.
Tom Brady. Sometimes we got to reel our friends in. They get a little crazy when they're thinking about things that they would give back for moments in their career. Tom Brady once said he'd give up 2 Super Bowl rings to have that win over the Giants after the perfect season in 2007. Would you side with Brady and give up 2 Super Bowl rings?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, you didn't even let me finish.
I would give up my 2 for that 107.
What'd that run feel like?
But you know what? Honestly, I'm sorry. No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I would give my rings up for the second Super Bowl I lost.
Oh.
I'll give it up for that because that season we lost Myra Kraft, and my relationship with her, we had a really good relationship. And I just saw the hurt in Mr. Kraft that whole season, and we played that year with a chip on our shoulder, and we had a young squad, you know, and I just remember going into that Super Bowl, and I'm just talking to these guys, and like everybody you can hear a pin drop, and this is the night before Super Bowl, and we were so laser and we were so focused. I think that was the hardest Super Bowl for me, and losing that, it took something out of me. So I would take that one over the 07 season, even though we was undefeated and all that. But what it meant for that second time around against the Giants, and we losing it in Indianapolis, I would take that Super Bowl over all the Super Bowls I have.
Case, I thought that was so deep, emotional, introspective from the big fella there. Great job by you to get that out of him. That was a great answer and seemed like a really great interview.
It was, and I mean, we work collectively as a team here, so there was a lot of great conversation that helped kind of cement some of these questions. But what I really admired about everyone that I had a chance to talk to is like, there was a lot of leading with emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, to know so much about these guys that are in the conversation of legacies or who have hit milestones in their career, and to continue to learn something about them in an interview, that's something that I'm really grateful for, especially when it comes to our job. So I learned more about him. I learned more about Isaiah Thomas, but I can say that every guy had a very deep emotional level to those conversations and those sit-downs.
Vince looks great.
Tremendous.
I mean, how much weight did this guy lose? Did he talk about that
I think
with you?
he said he's 80 pounds down from like his his heaviest, like where he would remain like heavy or whatever. But he said he still eats whatever he wants. He's got a barbecue sauce, by the way.
Oh yeah. He's got burgers. He's got them all.
Yeah, he's a cooker. But he even said it in an interview, like he loves to do everything himself. He's a very hands-on guy. He likes to cook. He likes to garden. He likes to be involved in everything. And also gave a lot of love and credit to Bill Belichick for making him a nose guard. He talked about kind of the difficulty in that transition. And I liked that because we were able to have a moment where I was like, hey, I was the little sister to a guy who was coming off the edge, you know, a number one prospect in the nation, to go into a 3-4 system, and all of a sudden you need to be 305 pounds and you need to be just as mean, just as tough, and just as strong. And I mean, my brother struggled with that. So him and I chatted about that for a minute. We didn't get into the rivalries. He played at Miami. My brother played at FSU, but it was really cool. You got to poke fun at one moment, but then you also got to dig a little deeper the next moment.
Joe, memories-wise and sort of pantheon-wise, where's Vince for you?
So he was a one-time All-Pro first team, two-time, second-time All-Pro. So I think he's a future Hall of Famer. Yeah. It's about the position, though, I think is going to be his biggest issue. Right. There's other guys here. Fred Smirlis was a local guy, probably should be in the Hall of Fame. But he was a champion. He played. He should have finished his career here. He finished with the Texans. He's a guy that should have finished here. He sacrificed a ton. He sacrificed contracts as well. But you mentioned it. Him coming out of Miami, he was a blue chip. He was a pass rusher. For a big man, he wasn't just a stopgap guy in the middle. He was a pass rusher. Let's not forget, also dropped back into coverage one time. You mentioned memories. Had a nice little interception.
Right. I remember that.
As a fellow big man, I salute to you, my man. But Vince Wilfork, I think, will make the Patriots Hall of Fame and has a chance at the NFL Hall of Fame.
All right, look, Kasey told you all these guys were very introspective, reflective, emotional. When she walked in this morning, she said, Trav, Isaiah Thomas, what a great interview. Here's a snippet of that as well.
Just the genuine love overall. Like I always say, it's like I played 10 years here. It's like I won a couple championships here for the city, and I didn't come close to that. What I did was just, you know, put my hard hat on every day and give it my all. And that resonated with this community, resonated with this city. And the love that they show me, you know, whether it be on social media or anytime I come back to Boston, it's like I'm forever grateful and appreciative of all the support. So it puts a smile on my face anytime, you know, I interact with a Celtics fan or somebody that I was able to, you know, touch their heart during my time here.
It should be noted, you can catch all these interviews in their entirety on NESN's YouTube page. Go there. While you're there, like and subscribe, please. We're awesome. Okay, you can also call us, 617-790-0928, if you want to share any memories and stories of these great players. Case, I see what you were talking about with IT. I got that from him in that snap.
Yeah, and you felt it from the minute that he sat down. And, like, in all reality, when he mentioned, like, it almost feels like he played here for 10 years, it's very distinct what Boston means to him.
Sure.
I mean, like, there was a number of questions where at one point I had to call him out for being almost overly humble. Like, he was like, yeah, I had a couple, you know, maybe a few 50-point performances. And I was like, that's not really like a splash. Yeah, I was like, so let's circle back. And then what was really exceptional and what I had the honor of hearing from him was, like, we pointed out the 53 performance versus Washington, and he was like, it felt like it was just me in a court at like a school gymnasium, the way that everything just kind of went to tunnel vision because he had just lost his sister and now he's playing in a basketball game and he's doing it in his favorite city, that he just really kind of found himself in. So another great quote before we move on is the fact that he basically said that, like, he doesn't want to only be known for basketball. If that's all he's known for, then he hasn't done his job here. And I think it was extremely reflective in those interviews.
Isaiah, memories?
He was 5'0", 100, was an MVP candidate. Brad Stevens helped make him. And if you think about this group of Celtics, he was a big part of that. If they won a championship, and I'm sure when they won their championship, they looked back and said IT was a big help. But they traded him for Kyrie Irving. And they tried to do something with that. It didn't work out.
No.
I blame you, Kyrie, for losing Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, screw you, Kyrie. Just nice and early to establish what we need here on the show. Screw you, Kyrie. All right, Bill Belichick. Spotted at North Carolina cheer competition with his boo, Jordan Hudson.
Don't say her last name.
There's Bill. There's Jordan. My question was, ain't she a little old? I mean, we don't ever say if she's too old, but ain't she a little old to be doing cheer competition? This is a grown-up cheer competition? What's going on here?
I'm so scared to answer this because Because, you know what? Let's go to the tweets first.
No, answer it. Alex tweets, this is the greatest and most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my damn life. He ain't lying. Commander John says, this will never not be weird. He ain't lying neither. Case, what do you say to this?
What I say is, as a fellow former cheerleader,
okay,
I would not. That's what I say.
So she is too old.
You wouldn't catch me, per se. And, like, look, I was really much annoyingly lived up to these stereotypes that you think would encompass that. You know what I mean? I was the junior captain of my high school cheerleading team. I was the head cheerleader of my senior year. I fit a lot of stereotypes. That would not be me.
Joe, what's next? He's going to be at her spelling bee competition?
Yep.
Actually, Joe, how supportive should one be?
I think one should be very supportive in this situation. And let me just tell you guys
this. She
this.
said she was going to get you.
Look at me. Love is not an age, everybody. Love is not an age.
But
good for you, Bill,
supporting
her.
your gal at a cheerleading competition.
Listen, whatever it is.
Back to that.
If it's Girl Scout cookies, I support you.
So does Bill.
And this is why we love Joe. This is why we love Joe. But it's like, okay, if somebody asked me to suit up for USA right now, no. Would I do it as a party trick still? Likely.
Okay, I respect that. But you're not competing in a real thing for like a trophy.
Dude, that level of makeup off camera, no. That's me though.
Bill and Jordan, just the gift that keeps on giving. 617-790-0928. Call us, get in here, talk trash, talk memories, whatever you want to do. When we come back, the godfather of baseball joins us. Lou Merloni, come on. Boston is under the chat. You see it Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on NESN, 9 a.m. right here.
We all need it. We are back at it with Boston's Enter the Chat live from the Salem 5 studio. And if you were looking at your screen, and in case you missed it, yesterday some movement takes place for the Red Sox. Roster moves, and it is Wednesday, y'all, which means we've got the one and only Lou Merloni joining us to break down all things Red Sox and continue to bring his immense insight. I would call you the Godfather, but I don't have the bass in my voice that Travis does.
He's the Godfather of baseball.
I don't want to let you down, Lou, by not giving it that punch it deserves. But first and foremost, as always, how are you doing? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm seeing a little flurry of moves. Who would have thought Rule 5 draft or protection would have gotten a lot of moves? But this is just kind of cleaning up a lot of the bottom of the roster sort of things and preparing for the winter, I think.
Yeah, that's what we kind of figured. And to ask the initial cliche question is just any surprises here. I mean, you saw Chris Murphy get some opportunity in this previous season, so that's probably one of the larger names that one would be like, hey, what's going on there? But any surprises in the movement?
Well, I think it was kind of like last year when they just first move was trading Cam Boozer, and you're I thought he was pretty good. Brennan Bernardino was a guy that apparently this pitching development program just doesn't like, right? Because I remember at the deadline they got Steven Matz, who was good for you, but you didn't need Steven Matz because to all of us, Brennan Bernardino was 13-game scoreless streak. He was throwing the ball well, and you optioned him down. So obviously something he does doesn't line up with this organization. But you've now lost Murphy, you lost Bernardino. There's depth. You lost Matz. You lost Wilson. So you got a left-handed reliever problem right now you need to fix here in the next few months.
Yeah, Lou, I was just going to ask you that. What do they do for left-handers at this point? I know there's journeyman guys they can bring in or down to the minors, but overall, is the bullpen their biggest strength right now? What would you say is the Red Sox biggest strength heading into this hot stove season?
Well, unfortunately, I'd say the biggest strength is depth, in pitching. But you're right. The bullpen's the strength because you get Chapman and Whitlock, right? Yep. And hopefully a healthy Slayton, But I don't think I've seen a lot of people say, oh, they get rid of this lefties. That means Toley's in the bullpen. No, those young kids are starters. They're going to have to address it, whether it is bringing back Matz, whether it is the medical team looking at a 38-year-old Justin Wilson and say, listen, physically, he's fine. You can bring him back for another year. He was pretty good. They need to address that. Now, later in the year, this is when you can bring up a minor leaguer, a AAA guy in the arm that you really like and turn him into that bullpen. But we're talking about surviving to the All-Star break, which you can make adjustments then. But they need to add. There's no question to that bullpen now, especially lefties.
Lou, let's stick with pitching here. We had Gordo on yesterday, and we asked him sort of his dream starting pitching rotation for the Sox. And I pushed back slightly. I didn't hate it. I know this clip I'm going to show you, just a prerequisite here, Lou, just so you know. It looks like I'm bullying my man Gordo. I'm not. I just thought there were a couple names out there maybe he should have considered. Watch this clip, and then I want your reaction on the other side. I do have to ask you. I mean, the Red Sox allegedly are in love with Joe Ryan.
There it is.
Allegedly, the Tigers are interested possibly in moving the Cy Young winner in Skubal. I like Hunter Green. Please hear that. I don't want you to take this as me attacking you. I'm just asking, where are those guys? You don't want them? You want Hunter Green over them? I'm just asking.
I do want Hunter Green over those guys. And
Okay.
I'll start with Skubal because I feel like that's the one that could come off as crazy. But if you're trading for Tarik Skubal, you're trading for 1 year of, he's the best pitcher in the American League. Don't get me wrong. Back-to-back Cy Young winner. It doesn't get better than Tarik Skubal, but you're trading for 1 year. Whereas Hunter Green, he is a top-of-the-rotation guy with 4 years of control. You've got so much flexibility to continue adding, to continue working with the roster around that. Whereas with Tarik Skubal, it's 1 year, and if you want to keep him, you better be ready to pay $400 million, which we haven't necessarily seen. So it's a risk to trade for a guy who's a rental, and then maybe you see the Dodgers come in after maybe sitting out an offseason this year and preparing to shell $400 million at Skubal. There's no possibility of that with Green. And with Joe Ryan, I mean, I love Joe Ryan. I would go nuts if the Red Sox traded for Joe Ryan. I just think Hunter Green is a better pitcher with more team control.
I'm not going to attack you, but I'm going to yell at you.
I mean, what? What do I do now? What do I do now?
I just wanted to get clarification.
Such a bully.
That's all.
Lou,
Call him what he is.
Lou, it's as simple as this to me. I'll be honest with you. Because he was playing with the pocketbook, and I get it. But, at the end of the day, I don't give a damn about X's and O's. I need Jimmys and Joes, Lou. I could get Skubal or Joe Ryan. What are we talking about, Hunter Green?
That wasn't necessarily bullying. That was just debating. We know that. That's called sports radio, right? That's not a problem there.
Right.
But I understand what Gordo was saying, right? Trade a guy. It's sort of like why I would rather have, say, Joe Ryan than Freddie Peralta, who's a free agent after 1 year, right? So then it's like, now I got to re-sign this guy. The problem, listen, I would want Skubal, but he's right. You got to be willing to pay up, and anybody could jump in and go absolutely nuts. When you traded for Crochet, there was an understanding that he was eager to sign an extension, right? Because there was a lot of uncertainty in his career. Skubal, I don't think, is eager to sign an extension after you trade for him. That is the issue. Hunter Green, I love Hunter Green. I still don't understand why the Reds would trade him and not one of the other two young pitchers to maybe get better. Mm-hmm. So I like the idea of trading for a guy that's got a couple years of service. That's why, as much as I'm interested in Peralta, it's only 1 year, but I would still take him.
All right.
Are we any closer to kind of getting some clarity of what the potential number 2 could be for this team, or who's better within reach now that the offseason is getting further along?
No. And here's why. I'll tell you, because
you're like, no, we're close.
Yeah. And I love these national media. They're talking about this, and this is why, like I said before, I don't buy anything. I'll just wait for everything to get done. Because even if you talk to anybody local and they ask you, what's Craig Breslow like? Even internally, he is the decision maker. He will listen to people's opinions, and then he will make the decision, whatever he wants. He doesn't really talk that much to the local media as far as giving insides and texting back and forth about what's going to happen. He doesn't really talk at all. So all these people that are trying to tell me what Craig Breslow is thinking, I don't believe them. I don't think they're talking to them. They're giving their opinions on the outside of what it looks like they should do. But I don't think we're any closer. I still feel the trade is the way to go for a starter, because I don't know of a corner infielder you can trade for. So you got to do one of the two. So I think that trade's a pitcher.
All right, Lou, you mentioned corner infielder. I got a guy, Bo Bichette. I know he's played shortstop. I wanted to get your breakdown on him. Could he play second? Can he play third? Is he the backup plan, I guess, if Alex Bregman doesn't work out? And just another, to piggyback on that, does Scott Boras still have the mystique that he once did back when in his heyday with all those big players? Does he still have that? Because he was talking Brexit and stuff like that. I'm starting to look now at Bichette and other guys because I feel like he's a goner.
Right.
I do think Boras is still elite. Now, he doesn't hit a home run every single at bat, and the ones that he doesn't work out well, we point out and we enjoy that because he's so successful. But I still think he's the elite guy. As far as Bichette, I love him. He's kind of everything you look for, right? As far as an offensive profile, he's got power. He hits the ball the other way. He holds, he doesn't strike out much. Defensively, I don't think he is a shortstop, and that is the problem. So the question is, can he play third? Can he play second? I think going from shortstop to second base, I think he can handle that. Third base is a little different, but I think he can handle that. So I do think that he should be an option. I think you should be talking to them, interested. You don't know where this offseason is going to go. He's younger than Alex Bregman. I just know the Bregman fit was here, but I think I love everything about Bo Bichette. Plus, I played with his dad, Dante, and he's outstanding.
Great bat flip, if you remember that, too. He had
Close
a great
the cape.
one.
Yeah.
Wow. Lou, I want to ask you this. I saw this report from Ken Rosenthal suggesting that the Sox are in on Pete Alonso, if not Bregman, if it doesn't work out there. I think your casual fan would say, why not both? And your casual host of this fine television program would also say, why not both? Lou, I ask you, why not both?
That's a great question because it needs to be both. I mean, you need two guys. What if you I don't understand. Well, you bring back Bregman, you're good. Here's the other thing. Everybody's just assuming also that you're losing an outfielder in a trade, right? Whether it's Duran or Abreu. So if you just bring back Bregman and trade one of those two players, if it's Abreu, you're losing the guy that approached 30 home runs. If it's Duran, you're losing the guy that had 84 RBIs and gets extra base hits and brings a lot offensively. Now, I know we say, well, Roman Anthony's a full year. Well, Roman can't replace everybody. The bottom line is you're taking that bat out of the lineup. You're taking an outfielder out of the lineup and maybe giving those ABs to who? Yoshida? So are you better if you just bring back Bregman? You need both. Well, if it's not Alonso, then you got to go overseas and go get my boy Okamoto. If it's not Alonso, or if it's not Bregman and it's just Alonso, you got to go out and make a trade and add another impact bat. You have a leadoff hitter, and then you have 5 through 9 covered. You don't have 2, 3, 4 right now. So you can't bring back one. You got to bring back at least 2.
Okay. I just thought of a new segment idea for you. We'll call it Godfather Gut Feel. Question. Duran or Abreu, who gets traded? Because you said you think one of them is going to go. Gut feel, which one?
Yeah, I think that they're going to try to move Duran first.
Okay.
That's what I think. The difference is for me is that everybody keeps assuming you use them to get a number one. I don't think you need them to get the pitcher that you need because, I don't think Miami or Minnesota want a player with 3 years of control, given where they are. Maybe I'll be wrong because Minnesota didn't want a big league outfielder at the trade deadline for Joe Ryan. It was all minor leaguers that they wanted. So, but I do think if you trade, you can go get that number 2, and then you could move an outfielder for another bat. In an area where you are maybe light. Maybe that's where you can acquire a first baseman if you swing and miss on Alonso. Maybe that's where you can acquire a guy, straight up for a Ketel Marte out in Arizona. I've mentioned his name before. I don't know, or put a package together. So I think that they would prefer to move Duran, given his age, and he's already in arbitration. Keep a guy like Abreu at Fenway Park. But if a team wants Abreu over Duran, I don't think you're saying no.
Okay.
Sticking with bats for a second, you get Luke Heyman in the mix of some of these transactions that take place. And Twitter actually went positively quite wild when this was noted. And it was also put out there that he followed the Red Sox for when he was younger. So there's that love, there's that buy-in for Boston. Raw power, balance to his swing, some of the things that you hear in terms of this 22-year-old player. What do you make of Luke Heyman?
Well, I think it's just it's a move of kind of clearing guys off the roster for the Red Sox that either weren't going to be protected or when the first free agent or the first trade is signed, maybe those guys come off the roster. So you go through a draft, you look at some of the players you really, really liked, and Heyman kind of jumps out at you, right? So you're sort of like, okay, well, this is a guy that we liked in the draft. This is a guy we can stash in the minor leagues. There's a position of depth that we really don't have throughout the minors. They picked up a couple of catchers yesterday because they don't have much depth there. They picked up a couple, AAA, say, utility guys as well, to kind of, because they don't really have much depth there, even though you have a guy like Sogard, but still you need more of that. So I think it's a shot. I mean, you're losing guys no matter what, whether it's Rule 5 or dropping them, DFAing them. So you look at other organizations. We like this kid out of Florida. We liked him in the draft. We got an opportunity to put him in the organization, and you make that move. So again, like, nobody thought that Romy Gonzalez was going to help you when you claimed him off of the White Sox, right? Or you pick up guys like Nate Eaton and Toro. So some of these guys in years to come may be able to help you.
And Lou, I guess he's friends with Roman Anthony. So I think that's something I look at. And, hey, listen, over the years, right, you were tight with Nomar. Yep. You look at what's going on with the Jason Tatum's got 2 coaches on his staff that he's close with. Is this a part of roster building, maybe pleasing the best player on the team or the guys around him to kind of build that culture?
Great question.
Well, I'll tell you, he was also good friends with Jackson Holiday, right? So maybe you can go get him, too. The thing with Roman Anthony is that the teams that he played on when he was 17, 18 U were national stars teams. Ooh. So I'd like to go after everyone he played with because they're all good players, right? He didn't play with Scribinos. Right. You know what I mean? Like this guy played with elites. So if they play together and they're friends together, I think that's a good sign too.
Go ahead.
I was just going to mention that they also bundled up on catchers yesterday. Yeah. Is this something long term that they're looking to do? Are they happy with Connor Wong as the backup of Narvaez? Because hey, listen, I was looking down. I didn't know what else they had for depth there. They traded Teal in the offseason last year. So I mean, it's just them just looking ahead to the future here with the with catchers.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily big leagues. It's really about like we need somebody to catch somebody in AA and AAA and A-ball, and they don't really have. They're kind of thin in that position. You know, when you draft a guy like Teal, maybe you take a break from drafting catchers because you know you've got one of the future. Well, then when you trade him, you look down and you say, we really don't have many catchers in the system. Not to say these guys can't get to the big leagues and they can't help, but a lot of time, I don't want to call it roster filling because that'd be disrespectful. I think these guys are pretty good. But yeah, you want to get these young catchers in your system because sometimes you look at the minor leagues and you say, listen, we don't have any outfielders. We don't have any first basemen. We don't have any catchers. And you just try to fill that. And now these guys can come up through the system, maybe turn into big league catchers, big league depth, big league starters. We'll see.
All right, well, more to come, hopefully. But as y'all know, the one and only Lou Merloni joins us here every Wednesday. Lou, as always, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we get more, I don't know, information that's not on Twitter because at least you help us temper our expectations and our emotions. So we're not going crazy here. Make sure you guys stick with us, 617-790-0928, to let us know your thoughts and maybe even your wish list when it comes to the Red Sox offseason as you peruse this beautiful Boston view. Make sure you join us back here on Boston's Under the Chat on the other side of this quick break.
The Konya, middle of the mall. And yes, is Drake May playing good football, Stephen Anthony and Ryan Terry? Absolutely. And I would like to attest his great play to one specific person that I know too well, Josh McDaniels. Now, Josh McDaniels may not be a great head coach, but he is a brilliant offensive mind. And he explains the game in a way that it's just, dang. So if the shade's right here and the 3 techs right there, okay, cool, that's over. All right, cool. I did it, Mike, and let's play. You're protected now, all right? The thing that I have a problem with is if you keep playing sorry scrubs, then you're going to have this falsetto of a mentality going into the playoffs, and it has one and done written all over it. Give me the Indianapolis Colts, because the same questions that I have for Indianapolis, or should I say Carly Ursay's Indianapolis Colts, she's doing a damn good job with that.
Back.
When you talk about them, the same questions still arise when you're talking about the New England Patriots. How will their quarterback perform in Indiana Jones? Now, when you have Mrs.
Well, as former MVP of the league, Cam Newton, Patriots quarterback, listen to these tweets. One thing I'll give Cam Newton credit for, accomplishing nothing in the playoffs. Definition of a middle of the ball for QBs. And Debbie Gibson, one-hit wonder. Take away one good season, where he did play in a Super Bowl, and had a losing record for his career. Lost more than he won in 8 and 11 seasons. Only needs a mirror to see sorry scrub.
Gee.
Bitter because the Pats cut his sorry ass for Mac Jones.
Oh, Lord.
And bitter, he'll be forgotten entirely in Carolina due to Drake May. That's just what else we have.
That's mean.
That's the Dawn.
This from Celtics Adam. Why has he been hating on us and Drake the entire year?
Jealousy.
Fool's gold. Says one Cam Newton, former Patriots quarterback as well. He gave credit to Josh McDaniels, though. But, all right, so first off, that's hard. That's hard to hear. By the way, Drake May, that's his hero.
Right.
That's who he looked up watching. So let's be real for a little bit here.
Okay.
Patriots fans and the tweeters who get a little upset at Cam Newton, it has been a soft schedule. But they didn't create the schedule, now, did they?
Yeah.
Did they create the schedule? No. All right. They didn't set up the NFC South and sweep them. It was them. But the question is this, guys. This is it. Are they a good team, or have they just feasted on bad competition?
I mean, bro, they play who they play. Like you said, they don't make the schedule. What do you want them to do? The schedule's easy, so just give us the Super Bowl. That's not how this works. They have to play who's on the schedule. They were a horrendous team the last 2 years. You get last place schedules. That's how this stuff works.
Right.
And then next season, they'll be on primetime every single week, and we'll see what happens. But let's cross that bridge when it comes. Kudos to Drake May, because this is what happens. Idols become rivals. Welcome to the game, kid. This is what it's about,
They say never meet your heroes.
That's right. And then let's also put Cam into his place. He's not a scrub, as the tweet says here. That's ridiculous. This guy is a great quarterback, or was a great quarterback. However, how can you stand up there on national TV Monday through Friday and call anyone a fool anything with them damn Dr. Seuss hats you be wearing? Okay? You're a fool. How's that sound? Go ahead, Case.
How do I follow that up? You're a fool. No, actually, I can follow it up. It's just, I'm over the soft schedule conversation because I feel like a broken record at this point. So, yes, easy schedule, but have there still been quality tests throughout said schedule? Yes. Like, you can talk about running through the NFC South all you want, but the Bucs are a predicted potential Super Bowl team, especially once health is back on their side. Then you're talking about them being able to supersede a Bills team that just put a beating on a Bucs team. So they have had enough tests to say, where does the talent actually lie? That doesn't mean that flaws are not throughout this team, but we're barely halfway through the season, or right at the halfway checkpoint, and you're talking about seeing how they respond to coming off of a bye week. Are they going to be sluggish? Are they going to need time to get back into a rhythm? So they're still being tested enough. The biggest question mark for this team is, can they establish a run game so that they can compete against certain teams? But the growth here is Drake May, and having a quarterback that can do everything that you ask of him, it's a lot of teams further along.
Well, according to Cam, that's all Josh McDaniels. It has nothing to do with Drake. Joe, I want to add this.
That's so mental.
I know. I want to add this to what Kasey said, because she said Bills and Bucs, check. Quality wins. You look back now, that Panthers win looks better than we thought at the time. At the time, we were like, another easy team. Go check the NFC South standings. The Panthers can win that division. That's a winning team. Yeah. So all of a sudden, that looks like a quality win. I just think you can only play who's on the schedule, Joe. What do you want them to do?
Yeah, I'll say this. 7 of their 11 wins, or of the 11 games, 7 of them are under 500. And at the end of the year, they're going to play 11 teams under 500. Let's just say it's an easy schedule. Right. It's an easy schedule. I'm fine with it. It's okay. I'll say it. But Cam Newton, here's another thing I wanted to bring up.
All right.
Isn't he still a big name when it comes to the league, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he still has that clout, but the Patriots brought him in to be the guy after Tom Brady because he had that swag about him, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So if he's thinking it, what's the rest of the people thinking? The media came out with their rankings. They're barely top 3. No one has them number 1.
Right.
Are the Patriots a top 3 team in the NFL right now? Yes. Whether it's the schedule or not, my only thing is, does everyone feel this way if Cam Newton's also saying it?
I mean, who gives a damn about Cam Newton?
But he's around the players, right? He's around these guys. I wonder if they're like, oh, Drake May, it's all Josh McDaniels. It's not him.
Oh, no. I feel like Drake May is getting his flowers. I feel like enough people are realizing that, yes, having the right OC at the helm of things is going to be important because you have to curate the game to make sure that your quarterback is going to be able to excel. But, think of the things that have been discussed in terms of what Drake May has started to do much better. I mean, I remember in the first couple of weeks of the season, or maybe even during training camp, it was just going to be how is he going to manage the pocket? Can he step up in the pocket properly? Is he going to be able to, with composure, look down the field? Is he going to be able to deceive defenses? And while those were some of the first presented questions, you didn't particularly see it in the first couple of weeks, but you started to see that growth come along. Yep. I mean, we thought that this was going to be a little bit more run dependent so that he can avoid a sophomore slump and have time to get acclimated under Josh McDaniels, and it's been the opposite. Yeah. So to be able to kind of throw a curveball at him and be like, hey, we need you to be good at this while we try to figure out this. And for him to rise to the occasion, that speaks to the quarterback.
Great point. I'll also say this, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through these games, but I'm literally looking at the Colts and the Broncos' remaining schedule. It is murderer's row, okay? So back to the schedule thing. Sure, Joe said it. The schedule is easy, okay? Let's all establish that.
Yeah.
Great. You know why? Because Colts and Broncos have a difficult road to hoe ahead of them. If the Patriots can handle their business, the road to the Super Bowl comes through here. So I say all that to say, this plays into Mike Vrabel's hands.
Yeah.
Let's enter the chat with him, because he hasn't been in this conversation. If I'm Vrabel, I am already leaning on the underdog. I'm already leaning on the no one believes in us. I'm starting that now, okay? So by the time we get to January and these teams come here and it's cold as you know what outside and it's windy and these other teams are like, man, how are the Colts gonna look outside of that dome here when it's snowing and nasty, okay, and sleeting and all that kind of stuff? Denver's a good team. I'll give it to them. But I'd much rather see them if they come here. So easy schedule be damned. You have an opportunity, Patriots, to be at home for the entire playoffs, to have home field throughout. If you have that, I think Vrabel can lean into the us against the world, and we may get a Super Bowl run out of it.
One thought that came to mind is just a couple of years ago, and of course I take it to this, but the NFC South's been one of the weakest divisions for how long?
Yeah.
And you're talking about an NFC South that has had playoffs and then a Super Bowl champion in the Tampa Bay Bucks just a few short years ago,
right.
when they were literally crapping on how
right.
pathetic being the key word there for the NFC South, and they end up winning a Super Bowl versus
right.
the Chiefs.
That's
so
right.
strategy and your strategist, that accounts for a lot as well.
That's
Weak
right.
schedule be damned.
Hey, just set yourself up for the first round bye.
Exactly.
Set yourself up. Easy schedule, great. Get the first round bye. Now, you mentioned the standings going forward.
Yeah.
They can lose to Buffalo, win out, and still win over Buffalo.
What about Baltimore?
So Baltimore is going to have to win their division, right? But now Aaron Rodgers is hurt, et cetera. The only thing I'm concerned about going forward is you might get the Chiefs or the Ravens in the playoffs in the first round, where it's a little bit more bottom-heavy playoff-wise, where it's the Colts and Broncos at the top and the Patriots as well. So you're going to get that first-round matchup. It could be Baltimore, Lamar Jackson.
Could be.
I don't know if the Chiefs are going to make it, though.
I think they will, and I'll tell you another thing. I'd much rather see Lamar come in here than Patrick. I don't give a damn how the Chiefs
He's
look.
won here
Still
before,
Patrick
too,
Mahomes.
though.
You can
so.
blitz Mahomes for dear life. I mean, I'm okay with seeing that one, but yeah.
I mean, to Joe's point, if you get the bye, then they have to go, they, as in Lamar and Patrick, have to go play someone else first.
And play the week before
That's
as well.
right. That's what I'm saying. They have to play somebody. And then you have a chance of that somebody, whoever the hell it is, knocking them off. And maybe you don't have to see Lamar or Patrick Mahomes. But either way, even if you do, I guess my point is get home field throughout, have your coach, who's the best in the league and going to win Coach of the Year, drub up this us against the world little engine that could, and this young team will buy into that, and we could get a Super Bowl run. But it has to come through here.
So no fool's gold.
No. Did anybody watch the end of the movie? They found it anyway. They actually got the gold, so.
They did.
Yeah.
They did get the gold.
I mean, if you want to be literal, so I'm a literal person.
Get the latest up-to-date live Boston sports headlines along with your daily dose of trending sports and social topics every weekday on Bostoners Enter the Chat. Catch us live 8 a.m. on NESN and 9 a.m. on NESN Nation. That's every Monday through Friday. We'll catch you on NESN Nation.